The Dallas Cowboys have been sabotaged by their own owner, that being Jerry Jones. At the start of this year, he lied to this fan base when he said that they were going to be all in on trying to win this year. And when he made those comments, the thought was that, okay, if we're all in, that means that we're going to be making some big moves in free agency. We may be making a couple of big trades as well to get a few superstar players. But all being all in meant was signing linebacker Eric Kendricks and bringing back Ezekiel Elliott in free agency, re-signing Dak Prescott, getting scammed by him once again, and paying CeeDee Lamb, which probably is the best move that the Cowboys have made all this season, because outside of re-signing CeeDee Lamb, all of the quote-quote all-in moves that Jerry Jones promised to make this year has severely backfired, because this offense has no talent outside of CeeDee Lamb. Like, your running back, Rico Dwaddle, he's okay, but he's more of an RB2 than he is as an RB1. You got no good receiver talent outside of CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks has been banged up. You traded for Jonathan Mingo at the trade deadline, and we haven't even seen this dude even catch a pass. He was targeted 4 times in their loss against the Houston Texans. Didn't catch a single one of those targets. The offensive line isn't that good. The run game is ineffective. And the defense has fallen off due to you downgrading, losing Dan Quinn to the Commanders, and replacing him with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer, his defensive philosophy is severely outdated. Now, the Cowboys haven't done him no favors because they haven't really given him a lot to work with on defense due to the amount of injuries that they had to deal with. But last year, they had a fair amount of injuries last year. But the reason why they were still able to play well on that side of football in spite of those injuries was because they had tons of depth. I mean, they were loaded. You lose Stephon Gilmore, right? And who ends up coming in and replacing him? Oh, DaRon Bland, who ends up having an all-pro season out of nowhere. And this year, you don't have that same amount of depth. DaRon Bland has been banged up. You don't bring back Stephon Gilmore. The defense doesn't have the same amount of depth on the defensive line as what it's had in years past. All those good depth guys that you had, like Dante Fowler and whatnot, guess where they are now? With the Washington Commanders. So when Dan Quinn left for the Commanders head coaching job, he took all of the good depth pieces from Dallas along with them. And you bring back Mike McCarthy, but even though you brought him back early before the season even started, not even before the season started, back in January, you know, you were saying when people were asking you, hey, like, what's your future when it comes to, you know, what you could be doing with Bill Belichick, and he comes out and says, man, we could be doing some business with Bill Belichick in the near future, although you brought back Mike McCarthy. I just feel like Jerry Jones has severely disrespected Mike McCarthy. I don't view Mike McCarthy as a bad coach. If anything, like, if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars and I can't get Ben Johnson or Bill Belichick, I probably will hire Mike McCarthy. I feel like Mike McCarthy, he's not a great coach, but he's a good enough coach where he can get you to the playoffs. And if you had an owner that actually allowed Mike McCarthy to coach this team and he wasn't so involved, and you get a general manager that actually knows how to build a championship team with Mike McCarthy could have some postseason success. But you're handicapped when you got an owner that just meddles with so many things when it comes to the football aspect of things. It's like Jerry Jones wants to be the coach, the owner, and the GM. He just has to be involved in everything so he can take all the credit for the success. So bringing back Mike McCarthy was a huge mistake, because if you were going to give Mike McCarthy shit to work with and expect him to turn into gold, you might as well have just fired this man already, because how bad the Cowboys are, you can't really put it all on Mike McCarthy, because, listen, there's only so much you can do when you got so many holes at so many positions. And you just have an owner that just is so caught up in himself and it's just so delusional. You know, he just seems to be disassociated with reality. He thought that, you know, bringing back Zeke and making some of these moves was actually going to put the Cowboys over the top, when all it did was further set this franchise back. You don't just have like consecutive 12-5 seasons if you're a bad head coach. You know, Jerry Jones, when he was hesitant to get rid of his boy Jason Garrett, the master clapper, he had a lot of average seasons. Out of Mike McCarthy, though, you didn't really have a lot of average seasons. I just felt like Mike McCarthy has just been in a lame duck situation because you just have an old owner who just seems to be so caught up in the attention, the glamour. You know, he isn't trying to do what's in the best interest of giving Mike McCarthy a fair shot to win this year. So Mike McCarthy, I expect him to get a few more head coaching opportunities elsewhere because he has proven to be a solid head coach. Everywhere he's been, he's had success. He knows how to get, you know, decent success out of his quarterbacks. You know, the Dallas Cowboys just aren't good. And, you know, Cowboy fans have made so many excuses for why they've come up short. And none of those have been, you know, holding Dak Prescott accountable. Well, it's like Dak Prescott, when he was healthy, you still weren't good. You were still getting blown out in Jerry's world. And without Dak Prescott, you still are getting blown out. And now it's to the point where you got people saying that maybe you should just go ahead and draft Shedeur Sanders if you get the #1 overall pick. Trade away Dak Prescott. Somebody definitely would take him because he is a really good regular season quarterback. You know, you can win with Dak Prescott in the right situation, and he can get you to the playoffs, but he may not be able to get you past the wild card round. You're better off just starting over with Shedeur Sanders, get a young quarterback on a rookie deal that will give you more cap flexibility. It'll help you keep Michael Parsons. It can help you make some big moves in free agency because you'll have the money to afford some of the better players on the pool. But it's just Jerry Jones with the bad personnel decisions that he has made before this season. He has self-sabotaged the Cowboys this year. And that's why I never felt like the Dallas Cowboys were going to be a playoff team this year. It's just, you know, when you got an owner that just is a lunatic and he's just too self-absorbed to the point that he can't even accept the fact that the team is bad because of him, you are always destined to fail. And you can kind of say that the Cowboys deserve to suck because of Jerry Jones.